Since 2007, one man has dared to expose the sinister power players on all sides of the phony political spectrum. Armed with over 30 years of research knowledge of the paranormal, government conspiracies, geopolitics, secret and ancient societies, the esoteric arts, and much more. One man's quest for knowledge has become a mission for the enlightenment of all people. Broadcasting from the conspiracy ground zero of Dallas, Texas, this is The Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the broadcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. It is Friday, October 25th, 2019. Back here with you for another show tonight. We've got more news and information, as per usual, to get into with you here on the show. So strap in and get ready for another broadcast. I thank you very much for tuning in. I've got a bunch of different things I want to comment on, give you my take on tonight, as per usual. And we'll get into a variety of different things. So glad you could be here. Today is Friday. I talked about this a couple of days ago, but I want to talk about this again tonight. The past couple of months have been really rough for me, folks. I barely survived last month, and I was 3 weeks out of my studio for things out of my, totally out of my hands, the power company, all that crap I told you about. And then after that, I got this. I didn't even talk about this much, but the reason I wasn't on air for most of the beginning of this month was, number one, because we almost didn't make it because we came up so short. And I've been spending the entire month trying to scramble back and get back. On top of that, I've been dealing with health stuff. I had this giant cyst form on the inside of my thigh that swelled to the size of a fucking like half a tennis ball. And I didn't get up here and do shows and tell you to support me. I didn't do any of that stuff. I could have done that. I didn't do that. I kept it quiet and just tried to focus and concentrate on getting my health back together, because that's been a real problem for me that we had over the past year or so, just all of a sudden. So that has taken a considerable amount of energy and money to get myself back up to health again. And right before I did the first show of this week, was really the first time I was back to being 100% again. I am working feverishly beyond imagine to stay with my goal of having Soulcasters 2 out by the somewhere around the 3rd or the 4th. But all this is going to be dependent upon your support, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't had very much this month, and I've got to have it right now. I've got the power bill is going to be, it's overdue. I called them today and got it extended until tomorrow. So as long as I can pay it by tomorrow. So we just got to have everybody pitching in. I've asked this week. We hadn't got anything in at all this week. We barely got anything at all in this month. And we just need everybody to step up. And my goal is for us to at least have half of our total operating cost goal met by this coming Sunday. I'm going to be doing some other, I'll be doing at least one show, probably, maybe two. We'll see what happens if there's enough material, but I'll be doing another show this weekend as well, because I wanted to do more earlier in the week, but like I told you, we had that weird computer thing, which was so strange. I don't know what that, I'm starting to think that was something beyond. I don't think that was just like a computer problem thing. I think that was some kind of me being messed with. It's just funny that every time I get on one of these runs where I'm really getting close to getting a lot of progress finished on the film, which I've had to redo, 20,000 times. This has been the toughest project I've ever had to do, because it's, it's changed shape and changed form so many times. And I'm just at the point now where I'm just going to just throw all the stuff out there. It's not, it's not going to turn out. I've already had to accept the fact it's not going to turn out how I wanted it to turn out. It's just not. It's not with, I can't get a film like this. I've tricked myself into believing that I can do more with nothing than I can because I've done it in the past. But what I didn't realize is when I was doing that in the past, in the early days and stuff, when I was first making films, yeah, I could get the films done and do them with virtually no budget, no help, or anything else to do it. And, it was fine. But the type of information that I'm dealing with now, I mean, I can't, it's difficult sometimes to even wrap my mind around it, much less have to wrap my mind around it and then put it into some kind of easily digestible form into a movie where it makes sense and you can understand the information. Because I've got shit out the wazoo. I mean, like I said, I've had stuff for over a year. I mean, I've got stuff I haven't even talked about, even mentioned on the show because I've been saving it for this film. But I've had to just kind of accept the fact recently that no matter how long I take, and no matter what I do, it's not going to turn out the way I want it to turn out. So now my focus is just on getting the information in there. I mean, I hate to sound like I don't care if it's, I have a great deal of concern that it turns out good, but I'm just at the point now where I'm not even thinking about that as much. I'm just going to fucking throw the info in there, throw it out and be done with it. I'm just ready to be done with it and be on to something, the rest of everything else I need to work on. Plus I still have volume 3 to do after that, but that won't be as tough. The problem is, like I said, is that this was originally going to be one film and I've had to divide it into two. And since I've had to divide it into two, I've had to rewrite and rearrange a lot of stuff. And I've had to work on some stuff that I wasn't planning on working on until 3, and vice versa. I've had to work on some stuff for 2 that I wasn't going to do until 3, blah, 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 vice versa. So, but the problem is now, because we came up short last month, all month I've been trying to play catch up. And now we're already at the end of this month, and I've been behind all month already. And I just have nothing to operate on. I mean, I have nothing, we're sitting on almost zero here. And I just want to keep the lights on, be able to survive, be able to pay our operating costs, so I don't have to worry about that all week and wasting my time trying to fundraise all week, so I can concentrate on all of this week working on the spellcasters. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be doing shows this week. I will be doing shows this coming week, I mean. But, the most best case scenario that could happen right now is that we can get like half of what our total goal is by the end of this week, and by Sunday, that will allow me to be able to at least go, okay, we got this amount. We'll do shows and have our fundraising week next week. And then, I'll spend the week being able to focus on staying on my goal to get this film out by the 3rd or the 4th. It shouldn't take any longer than that, judging where I'm at now. But again, the problem is if I've got to spend time fundraising and trying to figure out how we're going to keep the lights on and figure out how we're going to keep the studio alive to next month, all of that it cuts into my time. Then we're right back with the wheels spinning in the mud again. So that's really what I'm trying to avoid right now, is the wheel spinning in the mud situation, which has gone on for months and well over a year now. And that's what I'm trying to get out of. So any and all help that we can get from everybody out there, we need it right now, because this is real. This is not a drill. I'm fucking well on my way to getting this thing done. But it's also, the only reason anything's changed from what it's been before is because I've made this fucking decision, and I'm just throwing this motherfucker out, warts and all. It's going to have some killer information in it. Well, whether or not it's going to be the best film I've ever made or not, I don't know. That's been my goal. I don't even know if that's possible at this point. So I'm just going to take all the information, throw it in there, hope that you understand what I'm trying to get across to you. That's the most difficult thing, because when you look at any one piece of this information on its own, it doesn't really make any sense until you see it in the wide, grander scope of things with all the other pieces of information. Like, I could tell you one part or one piece from what's going to be in these movies, And you might go, oh, cool, that sounds interesting or whatever, but it doesn't have the same impact as it does when you're going to see it with all the other things, with all the other pieces and all the other things that I have. And that includes what's going to be in part 3 as well. Part 2 won't even be as good to you as it will be once you see volume 3. Because like I said, man, there was no way I could put out a fucking 6 or 7 hour movie. That's just retarded. So that's why I made the decision some time ago to split it into 2. But what I didn't realize when I made that decision, it's one of those, it's like the butterfly effect thing, What I didn't realize when I made that decision is that was also going to cause problems. This is the unexpected thing. I didn't realize that was going to cause problems with what I'd already planned to do in volume 3 and the rest of that. But regards to that, I'm only interested in focusing on things that are positive and in positive energy. You can get, it just seems like everything now, especially with the divide and conquer stuff in the news and politics and all this, it just seems like everything is designed to keep everybody pissy and mad all the time. And, just like any other psyop, I'm not going to allow myself to fall into it. And I hope that all of you won't either, even though I have to admit, I do believe that there are many of you out there in our listening audience that have fallen into that. And I have empathy for you. I wish you wouldn't, because that's exactly what they want. That's what they want you to do. And I'm tired of it. So I'm just only focused on doing, and if you're of the same like mind, then you're who I'm talking to right now. If you're of the same like mind as me, that you're tired of all this negative bullshit, you only want to focus on the positive, then you are exactly the person that I need on my team, on my side right now. You are the exact type of person that I need to contribute and help me out right now with what I'm trying to do here. Because it's been a rough go for me, man. I could have given up a long time ago and quit and said, fuck it, I'm never going to, I'm just going to quit and not even go forward anymore. Especially in light of the fucking things I've had to deal with, man. And I've gone through. And, I've fought through some of this stuff because it's just been one thing after another. And it's even gotten to the point for me where I didn't even get up here and even talk about it for weeks. I could have got up here and told you what was going on and told you what I was dealing with health stuff. But, man, I'd already dealt with with everything else that's had been going on previously before that. So I said, fuck it, and fought through it. But it was tough, but I made it. It was no fun, dude. It's no fun having a fucking cyst. And that's another part of things. I can't spend the same amount of time. That's another reason why there's been more delays in this film. I can't spend the same amount of time I used to spend in front of the computer anymore because of my health. I can't do it. I can't ride this fucking desk chair for 17, 18 hours a day nonstop every day anymore. I have to get up and move around. I have to take some time away from this. And that's, unfortunately, that's another one of those unexpected byproducts. Unfortunately, yeah, that's going to cause and has already caused there to be a longer delay in this film being done. But there's nothing I can do about that. I have to, the way my health has been going over the past year, 100% because of my work on this film. That's why my health has declined. Because I'm spending too much time sitting on my fucking ass on this desk chair and not getting out, being able to have time to get out and move around because I'm just nonstop working because I'm a one person. I'm a one-man team. But that's why I've got to have all the people out there, and I haven't given up. And I know a lot of you out there, seems to me that a lot of you out there have given up. But the ones that haven't given up, I need to hear your voices right now. I need to know that you're still with me. I need to know that you're still down to do this. I've got stuff that I haven't even talked about and put in these movies yet, dude, that's going to be fucking monumental. Earth-shattering. But if I don't have at least money to operate and keep the lights on, keep everything going, everybody can't do anything. So this weekend, starting right now, it's Friday, between now and Sunday, I'm imploring every single one of you who out there to dig deep and contribute every amount and any amount you can, large or small, between now and Sunday. Let's try at least knock out a good portion of what our overall operating cost goal is. You can find the contribution banner. You can find links to that on the YouTube videos. I always put links to it in the YouTube videos and in the members archives of each show. You can also find it on our Facebook page, the Global Reality Radio Network Facebook page, and the Josh Reeves Filmmaker Talk Show Host Explore page as well. Please contribute any amount you can, large or small. Everybody can contribute $100. Please contribute that. If you contribute less, that's fine too. But it's important, extremely important right now that for the next week, I can focus as much of my energy as I can and not have to worry about if we're going to be out on our ass in the next week, if we don't meet our operating cost goal again. So I can stay and get this film, because again, every month, that's what happens. And to be honest with you, we've had so many problems. There's going to be, the understand. I'm getting able to get a few days grace on this stuff, and that's been okay, but that's not going to last forever. So we need everybody's help right now. And, especially those of you, I'm just tired of all the negativity and shit. That's why I don't get up here and, there's so much within the realm of this stuff. And one of the frustrating things for me is that, somebody, some other person, whoever, some other talking head or some other, figurehead or whoever, person on YouTube or whatever, they buy into whatever the current fear-mongering thing is. It's every other fucking week there's something. Somebody buys into that. They make a YouTube video about it. One of our viewers or listeners watches it. And then for whatever reason, I'm automatically expected to be on board with whatever the current fear-mongering thing is. And I've never done that. And I never will. If you hear me telling you something's fucking important, you better listen up. But if I sound fucking serious about something, it's serious. Because I don't fucking play around with this fear-mongering bullshit. I never have. I didn't in the days of the fucking, before 2012, and everybody said the Mayan apocalypse was going to happen, and I never even got behind that, though everybody expected me to. Never got behind on that stuff. Somebody asked you the other day, what about this? There's a terror attack. Somebody made a YouTube video saying there's going to be a terror attack in Seattle November 2nd. And my question is, okay, well, if there is, then the first motherfucker that needs to be scooped up is the son of a bitch that made the video about that. Same thing. The other comment I made about that was same thing with, how the fuck do you think Alex Jones and Bill Cooper knew 9/11 was going to happen before it did? See, that's the uncomfortable question that brainwashed truthers don't want to ask. And then I become the bad guy because I will ask it and I will point blank say it, because there's only one reason why either one of them would have known ahead of time that was going to happen. And you can say I don't know what I'm talking about. You can shit talk me in negative comments and thumbs down my videos all day. Doesn't change the fucking fact. And 5G, I've talked about that. There's so much of that fear-mongering horse shit going on around 5G, and all that stuff originated with Russia Today, the FSB, Russian-owned fucking news outlet, fake news outlet. If you've gotten a router installed in your house anytime in the last 3 years, you have a 5G router in your house. I have had a 5G router. I don't even have fucking fiber optic or any shit like that. I just have bullshit ass cable internet. My router that I got in 2016 has been a 5G router since. It's the same technology, folks. It's the same technology. I mean, I remember even before I started the show, I'm talking like 2005, 2006, telling people back then that these cell phone towers and whatnot could be used in conjunction with stuff like HARP and be used for mind control and be used for, have negative health effects. And I was called crazy. People would call you crazy. People call you conspiracy theorists. Fundamentally, there is no difference between 4G and 5G technology. It's not any more dangerous. I'm not saying it's not dangerous. Don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying is, it's not any more dangerous than what we've already had. But for some reason, because people are trying to make names for themselves on YouTube and use fear-mongering to get followers, I've seen this shit time and again come and go with a million different fucking issues. I remember when fucking Jones got up there and said that the airports are going to be shut down tomorrow. This was Tuesday. Tomorrow, all the airports in America are going to be shut down because of swine flu. Did it happen? Fuck no, it didn't happen. It's the same old boy that cried wolf bullshit. These people are trying to fearmonger people to gain followers and create conspiracies. I mean, again, nobody was crying. Nobody was really saying much about when it was 3G, when it was 4G. All of a sudden, everybody's shitting their pants over the 5G thing because a few people on the internet created this artificial hysteria. Again, I'm not saying that all cell phone technology, I've been saying it for 15 fucking years. All of it is not good. The radiation from it is not good. The microwaves from these things are not good. But all of a sudden, everybody's wanted to try and shit themselves and try to make a hysteria out of the 5G thing when the dangers and this technology has already been here forever. It's the same shit. It's just faster, but it's fundamentally the same technology. You can tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but you don't know what you're talking about because your sources, you're going by people who are banking off fear-mongering these subjects. And I'm just fucking flat won't do it, man. I've never done that shit. I meant to talk about this yesterday. I didn't even mention the Edward Snowden, Joe Rogan episode, and the big news that I've seen that everybody has clipped out and taken away from that show. First of all, I've told you long ago what I think about Snowden and all these guys. Look, Snowden's a plant. He's been a plant from the very beginning. If this guy wasn't benefiting the government he claims to be exposing, you know what they would have done to him? They would have treated him like they've treated every other motherfucker like him from the beginning of the fucking United States, the beginning of the intelligence community. He would have been handled quickly and quietly and out of the eye of the public, and you would have never heard about this guy. Oh, and what, by the way, where is he supposedly hiding at? Russia? And we're supposed to believe that he's taking refuge in Russia as a guest of the Russian government and of the Kremlin, yet he's also shit-talking them at the same time while he's on. Bullshit, man. Total bullshit. This guy's a plant. He's a CIA asset. He's a disinfo agent. He is there to throw people off the scent because the reality of what they are actually doing is 1,000 times worse than anything Snowden's ever said. And by the way, ask yourself that. What has he ever really told us that we didn't already know? Think about it. Listen to him when he's on Rogan, too. He never has told us anything or given any information that wasn't already there prior to the public knowing about him. But when you listen to his... See, when you're somebody like myself, and I know many of you out there, too, when you've done your own research on this stuff, you're able to read between the lines when you hear these interviews. So when you hear his interview and he's talking... I mean, the guy grew up in Spooksville. He even talks about growing up in Spooksville in Maryland and growing up in the, his family worked in the military and government and all this stuff. So, but the biggest thing, and this is when I knew, I was like, there it is. There's the disinfo right there. Because see, that's how these guys do. They prey on, like I told you about yesterday in some of these articles we were talking about in yesterday's show, is these guys prey and count on people being completely misinformed. And because of television and the media and everything, people have this misconception that, the CIA or maybe even the NSA, if some people know about that, they aren't the only government agencies that run secret classified projects. Not even close. In fact, the ones that do the most secretive stuff are not the CIA or the NSA. They're these other agencies that people don't even think would be related to that. Like the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Organization. That's where some shit's going down. The NRO. I've talked about the Department of the Treasury before. Department of Treasury. You know, what branch of the American government employs the top sharpshooters and the top snipers? It's not the Special Forces. It ain't the Marines. It ain't the Navy SEALs. It's the fucking Department of Treasury. And so Snowden in his Joe Rogan interview, he specifically mentioned chemtrails and UFOs. And he said, by the way, there's nothing in the NSA or CIA databases about chemtrails or UFOs because I looked. And that, right when he made that statement, that's when I was like, I got you, buddy. I got you. That statement right there, it totally exposed him for what I fucking knew he was from the beginning. Because anybody that knows anything about anything knows specifically. That's what's interesting about those two specific ones that he named. Chemtrails and UFOs. Because, now, I'm not trying to say that the CIA, probably to a certain degree, a certain compartmentalized degree, and a certain number of people within the agency probably do have knowledge of those type of things, but they're not going to put it in their fucking database or anywhere online or anywhere in a computer system that could possibly be hacked or accessed by anybody. Now, they do have computer systems that can only be accessed by people with certain security clearances. That's true, but he never gave any real indicator as to what level of security clearance he had. He definitely had a security clearance. He's made that crystal clear. That's what gave him access to these databases. But it's not like there's not like there's one access level. You know, some are higher than others. But what's interesting that he said UFOs and chemtrails is because those two fall under specifically UFOs and those type of that kind of stuff falls, especially when you're talking about UFOs. You're talking more in terms of at least as far as military and government interests. You're talking about stuff like propulsion systems and stuff like we talked about yesterday with that contract that Tom DeLonge got with the Army. So the Department of Energy, you want to know who's what? I mean, you're not even looking in the right databases. You want to find some stuff on back engineered extraterrestrial technology and stuff that we've mined, stuff for free energy devices and stuff like that we put on the shelf to keep from the public. Department of Energy, man. Department of Energy is where you want to look to find stuff on chemtrails and UFOs. But because he knows 99% of the people out there think that the CIA and maybe even the NSA are the most secretive government agencies, and if anybody's dealing with anything about aliens, it's going to be them because, hey, that's what the X-Files told you, right? That's when I was like, yeah. I mean, right there, he showed you his fucking cards. And, yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous. And again, that's what these people are counting on, is they're counting on people believing these things they've been told or not even really knowing anything. Your average person wouldn't in a million years think, the Department of Energy, why would they know nothing about chemtrails? Well, because many of I wrote an article 10, 12 years ago called Global Warming, 12 years ago, 2007, 2008, I wrote an article called Global Warming Being Engineered. Is global warming being engineered by chemtrails? And it was all from Department of Energy documents. I mean, it was, I'll tell you what, it was so good and so researched that even Alex Jones posted that article or reposted that article on his websites. Because that's how because I don't write articles anymore, but I wrote a few, and a lot of them, got big play, and but I just quit doing it. It's just not enough time to do everything. But, yeah, that was a big takeaway for me, is that he just, he's just counting on those same things and counting on people being misinformed, which is, one of the general modus operandi for all of this stuff. I'm going to do something different tonight. Normally I start with the oldest stories and work my way to the newest ones. I'm going to do something different tonight. I'm going to start with the newest ones and work my way down to the oldest ones, just to change it up, mix it up, just because. No other reason. How about that? Bernie Sanders unveils plan to legalize marijuana by executive order within the first 100 days of administration if he becomes president. And poor Bernie, he's just like, he's just acting like every other fucking person's ever run for president at this point, isn't he? Promise them the world, promise them whatever you got to promise them. Just get me in and get me elected. And then I'll renege and go back on all those promises like every other president. He's just throwing everything at the board now. Yeah. He's yes man and everything. Oh, yeah, sure. Marijuana, yeah, I'll legalize it first day I'm in. Yeah, fuck yeah. Aliens, like remember when he was on Rogan? At the very end, Rogan asked him about it. Oh, yeah, if I found anything about aliens, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know. Meanwhile, the guy just had a heart attack. He didn't, I'll be honest with you. He didn't really, I thought the guy, he's never going to get elected. But I don't think he was really a threat. I mean, he is a socialist, but I didn't think he was a real threat until once you saw the Squad and AOC and all them back, and then was like, okay, here we go. You know what I mean? I was kind of giving the guy a break until that. And I just can't give anything a break with those fucking sicko, wacko, whack nuts. Any of this shit, man. These, each side is as bad as the other, and none of them can see it. They talk about Trump derangement syndrome now. It's political derangement syndrome, where every side is so deranged, they think they're the good guy and everybody else is the bad guy. Meanwhile, they're all the bad guys. They don't even fucking know it. The only people that are good guys are the people who are standing back on the sidelines, not on either side of this political left or right shit show, going, fuck you, fuck both of you. You're all morons. I'm not going to support any of you psychos. That's the fucking real people. But, hey, I give it to him, though. I mean, I've said that from the beginning. I said that even when Trump came in office. The first thing fucking Trump should have done the first day he came in office was fucking any president. First fucking day you come in office, they fucking lead weed legal across the board the first fucking day. Why? Well, no, because then at that point, you can basically fuck off. You can fuck off the rest of the time you're in office after that. You make weed legal the first fucking day, a lot of your other mistakes you may make along the way, because the billions of dollars in taxes. I mean, you could literally, the amount of money you could shave off the federal deficit and off of people's taxes and everything else, it just doesn't make any sense. But then you understand that the only way you get to be president is by being bought and paid for and being lobbied to the hilt and the rest of it. So, listen, it doesn't matter what these people fucking promise at this point. But also don't forget the fact that all of this is about they want to do to the United States what they did to Russia. And it's amazing when you look at like the timing when you look at like when Vladimir Putin first went in office, and then with like a year of it that we had the fall of the Soviet Empire, and then you had no government, and you had basically the mafia running Russia for 10 years. And then Putin gets in office in 2000. A year later, 9/11 happens. Boom. I mean, it's crazy when you look at it. And that's exactly what they want to do to the United States. This is all about all this divide and conquer stuff now that they're doing is all about bringing it into America, ending America just like the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 90s. And then, total anarchy and mob rule and mafia rule and everything that until they establish a new government after that and break us all up into little nation states and stuff. because Russia wants to control all the resources of every country worldwide. They want to control all the oil, and that's what all of this is about. It's about controlling that. Why do you think they handed them fucking Syria on a platter? That's all it's all about. So I'm sorry, Bernie. I mean, I thought you were harmless. The bottom line is there ain't a motherfucker in the. I don't know if it's ever been this bad. I guess it has. Yeah, it has. It just seems worse now than it ever has been. I don't think there's a motherfucker on either side fit for office. I don't think so. I don't think there's an electable one between any of these people, left or right. I don't think there's an electable one in the bunch. Everybody is bought and paid for and compromised at some level all the way across the board. And again, you could argue, and you wouldn't be wrong, it's been like that for decades. But my point is I think that it's more obvious now than it ever has been. They're just not. But that goes back to what I was saying earlier about, not dwelling in the negative. It doesn't matter either way. If you really think about it, has any one of these, I'm sure there are some people who could make a case that, certain things, but listen, we're all going to survive. We're going to live. We survived fucking Clinton. We survived fucking Bush. We survived Obama. We're going to survive Trump and whatever asshat comes next. Life goes on. And these motherfuckers only have as much power as you give them. So stop giving them your power. Apple Watch automatically calls 911 during stranded hiker's life or death situation. Yeah, I'm not down with that. I don't like any of that shit. I turn all that shit. I don't like the fact that these devices, you can make all your arguments all day long. Oh, it's good. It could save your life. 1 in a million chance it could save your life. I don't like the fact that these devices can now call the authorities automatically for you without you doing anything. I just don't like, I don't like that at all. I mean, talk about slippery slope. I don't like that shit. I don't like that little panic button shit on your phone. You accidentally fucking press it and then the cops come and shit. I mean, it's bullshit. Now, in this case, yes, these two people were about to fall off a cliff and guy's Apple Watch called emergency services for them. They got saved. Hey, that's great. But doesn't mean I have to like it. Because I don't like it. Because, you know what, motherfucker, bitch, what if it was your time? I mean, I don't like Apple. I don't like the Apple Watch being able to intervene like it's some godly figure. I don't know, man. The idea of that, to me, I just can't get down with it. If you're down with it and you got one and it's great for you, hey, then go for it. Don't let me stop you. I'm just talking about for me personally. I'm not talking about for everybody. If you got an Apple Watch, more power to you. Keep it, enjoy it. It may save your life. Obviously, save these people's life, but I ain't getting into that. I mean, you know what they say, right? You heard the saying, right? Snitches get stitches. Eye watches are for bitches. You didn't hear that? Yeah, that's a new one on the street. Yeah, that's going around. That's been going around on the street recently. Yeah. Stitches get stitches. Eye watches are for bitches. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're not a bitch. You have an eye watch. I just don't like any of this stuff where it can automatically call the police. Like, come on, dude. Auto snitch mode on your phone. That's bullshit. Alexa listening to people and hearing somebody scream and calling the police and then recording it, and really it was just somebody in another room watching a fucking movie on another TV that wasn't a connected device. Come on. When James Prudenciano recently purchased an Apple Watch, he likely had no idea the device would save his life just days later. But that's exactly what happened when the watch automatically made an emergency call after a routine afternoon went wrong. Well, you're hiking out in the middle of a mountain in the middle of nowhere ain't necessarily a routine afternoon. It's not like this guy was just walking down the street in fucking the town square or something. Come on, that'd be a routine afternoon. You're hiking up in dangerous mountains and you fucking stay out too late and the sun goes down and you can't find your way back. That's not necessarily a routine afternoon, is it? That's you being a dumbass and not knowing when to fucking haul ass out of there before the fucking daylight ends. That you can look on even on your weather app, on your wonderful little iPhone or your little iWatch there, which has a weather app on it, which will tell you right there when the sun goes down, numbnuts. But I guess you couldn't be bothered to look at that. Because that's what happened here. These motherfuckers stayed out way too late, way too long. It got dark. They couldn't see where they were going. They almost fell off a cliff, and the fucking iWatch ended up calling the fucking police for them and saving them. But none of this would have happened if they would have took 2 seconds to look and see what time the sun went down and been smart enough not to stay out there in the middle of nowhere in the mountains and in the woods and the forest after it gets dark. That's your own fucking fault. See, I don't like this. Much as I hate to say it, there is such a thing, I think, as I do believe in sort of that, what do you call it? All of the strong, I don't know. What do you call that? Not social Darwinism. I don't remember what you call it. But I do believe in some of that. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go shit. This idiot's probably going to have dumbass kids that don't know when to fucking go home, too. I don't know. I'm just not down with this auto calling. Some people, if you're dumb, some people deserve to die when they do dumb shit. Okay? I know that's not a fucking PC, comfortable thing to say, but it's the truth, and I got to say it. If you do dumb shit, there's consequences, right? Oh, not for me, because I'm rich enough to afford an iWatch, so woohoo. This is just going to make people act dumber. That's all it's going to do. Oh, fuck it. We get lost out here, the iWatch will fucking, we get in trouble, the iWatch will call the fucking authorities for us. Not if a bear eats your ass, motherfucker. What you going to do that bear eats your ass? Does the iWatch have an auto bear detector on it? Or a Sam Squanch detector or some shit like that? I don't think so. So, I'm not going to see more. I was going to read more of that, but I gave you the gist of what happened. Back on what we were talking about yesterday, clear USS Nimitz UFO footage showed it had legs below the Tic Tac body. So this came out today. So they're pushing this more. Listen, I talked about that stuff with the DeLong thing yesterday. And here's the thing. I need to clarify some stuff because, listen, he's obviously got his hands on something. I mean, the United States Army is not going to give a contract to someone who's got butkus. You got to have something. And it's going to have to be something that they think there is a potential for them to be able to develop into some sort of weapon. But what I didn't say yesterday when I was talking about that, especially when I was looking at those pieces, is that I think, and I think the same thing with this Tic Tac thing. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anything that says this thing is necessarily extraterrestrial. You got to remember, we're not the only people. The United States of America is not the only country that's been recovering extraterrestrial craft and back engineering their technology. Even the Nazis were doing it before we were. The Nazis supposedly had recovered a flying disc in the early 40s. And they mined all kinds of advanced technology from it. They even went as far as to create their own UFO, the Nazi UFO, the Nazi flying disc. That's a real thing. And they released the blueprints of it some years ago. And BMW, the BMW car company, actually made, this is no shit. You know, the BMW car company actually made the engines for the Nazi UFOs, the Nazi flying discs. And there's a lot of evidence. What was that movie? Was it Iron Sky? They kind of hinted at this, but even before that was ever made, there's a lot of evidence that the Nazis were actually trying to create a fleet of UFOs, and that the idea of the staged alien invasion scenario actually originated with the Nazis, was originally a plan of Hitler and the Third Reich. And that possibly this was something that von Braun left out when he was in his final days in the 70s, when he was dying of cancer, and he was trying to warn about the installation of space-based weapons and using the staged phony alien invasion scenario as the pretext to do it. It's possible that one of the things he may have left out was that this was something that he told somebody, or they had intelligence on the once Paperclip happened. Because when you look at it, I mean, there's so many things that the Nazis were doing that we took those programs lock, stock, and barrel and brought them over here and used them for ours, specifically the MK Ultra program. What became the MK Ultra program originated with the Nazis, and they were the first ones that were using black magic and what people believe to be demon conjuring, which actually is the same thing as what Scientology does, which is the control of these, what they call body thetans, which are basically like spirits and things that exist in all of us. And they were the first ones to use it and to try to use it to create robotically controlled, mind-controlled super soldiers, and then dose them with LSD and stuff to do it. Then that got brought over here during Paperclip, and eventually became the MK Ultra program, and also eventually Scientology, because L. Ron Hubbard was in when those programs were going on, just like I showed you in the Spellcasters Volume 1. And while he was working on those programs, was taking much of the stuff out of MK Ultra and incorporating it into what eventually became Dianetics and Scientology. So this back engineering technology, there's a good chance that whatever Tom DeLonge has I don't think that what he has looking at those pieces, I think that what he got his hands on is not actual extraterrestrial material. I think it was engineered on Earth by another government other than the United States, and back engineered and created from back engineered alien technology. Probably Russia or China probably did. I think that's what these Tic Tac things are. I think this is back engineered alien technology that's been deployed by some other country. And the reason that the United States military has given Tom DeLonge and his To the Stars Academy, which, by the way, if you don't know, and I didn't really talk about this yesterday, but if you don't know exactly what the To the Stars Academy is, the To the Stars Academy is actually, and was started by Tom DeLonge to hunt UFOs. So that's what's interesting about the fact that, and I think that maybe I think we're really starting to get out of the heart of what that whole thing is I think he's to the public. I think to the public, that's what they're trying to portray this as. They're trying to portray this as, and yes, again, anything that's a UFO, an unidentified flying object, doesn't necessarily mean 100% of the time that it's extraterrestrial. It just means it's unidentified, right? But I think that's what they're doing this under. They're selling it to the public under the idea that they're hunting little green men and hunting flying saucers from outer space, and playing on that common narrative thing, when in reality what they're doing is, under the guise of hunting for UFOs, they're attempting to expose clandestine military craft that have been back engineered from extraterrestrial craft by other countries and been deployed against the United States. That's ideally, I think that's probably what's really going on here with this. Because, listen, the United States Army is not just going to give, like I said yesterday, they're not just going to give some Yahoo a bunch of money because they think he has something they want. The military usually just takes it. I mean, that's the bottom line. So that whole thing is a front. They're doing that as a cover, because there's no doubt he's got something. But what tipped me off to it was that there was those 3 pictures that I talked about last night that he posted pictures of the material up on. And the first one was definitely some kind of a mica thing. It definitely looked earthbound. That was definitely, that's how mica is in layers like that. You can peel it off in layers, and it's used extensively, as you know, for heat shielding and all that. The other 2 looked like some sort of like carbon fiber material to me, some kind of carbon fiber material that had been layered and was created with some device, probably something almost like what we have with 3D printers, where the parts were printed off and made in layers and layered and stacked up to make, let's say something like a tile, like they had on the space shuttle, those tiles that were made out of mica that were the heat shield. That other exotic material looked something like that to me, but definitely was material that, isn't listed on the periodic table of elements, and it isn't, it's never been found in the ground, dug up naturally. So I think he's got something. And I think he wants people to believe up to a certain point that what he's got is, in fact, UFO technology. And I don't doubt that it's possible that this stuff came from that, but I think more than likely it's this back engineered exotic material that we don't have our hands on yet, because people have this thing in their head where they think, oh, well, the government already has back engineered stuff. Why would they want this other back engineered stuff? Well, we don't have that. Apparently there are so many different types, and there have been so many different types of craft. Just look at some of the stuff, some of the obviously legit video and photos and stuff that are out there. Very rarely, it's not that you don't see similar stuff in other places, but man, almost all the stuff, it's so different. You do see some similar stuff, but there's just some things you see, and I've seen it personally with my own two eyes. I've seen shit, UFOs in the sky, and they don't even look like craft. They don't look like ships. Like, how could that fly? There is apparently so much stuff, and there's been so many things, different things coming into the atmosphere for so long. And this is why they instituted the huge satellite hunter-killer stuff in the late 60s once they were able to have that technology. Was because they were getting their hands on stuff that some things it's just useless. There's been some stuff that they've gotten from these back engineered crafts they've been able to do nothing with because they can't figure out how to make it work. I'll tell you a great example of the statement I coined many years ago. They fictionalize the truth, so the truth seems like fiction. And a great example of this, if you've never seen it, go watch I think it came out in the late 70s, early 80s, 90, 80, 81. I mentioned a few months back, but the movie Area 51. Go watch that movie if you've never seen it, because there's some fascinating stuff in there that was definitely fictionalized truth. And one of them is exactly that. That's what I was talking about. When they start trying to get this technology, there's some of it that they're trying, and I had heard that long before I ever saw that movie. It was fascinating to me because there's some stuff in that movie where this technology is just weird. It just doesn't make any sense. Because we're thinking about it in terms of our human technology and everything. But they do a great example. They do a great job in that movie, Area 51. It's not the best movie you've ever seen, but it's actually not bad. It's not a bad movie for the time in which it was made. It's actually pretty good. But you can tell, if you've been somebody that's kind of studied this stuff for a long time, you can tell when you watch that movie that, hey, this is not all just, science fiction made up stuff here. They actually took some stuff that happened in real life and put this in there to then give the appearance, when people hear about these stories, that it's science fiction. That's what I talked about many years ago. They fictionalized the truth, so the truth seems like fiction. The X-Files was definitely a big part of that. And, there's just some stuff. That's why they've been trying... to shoot down. They're more concerned with getting the technology for military purposes before some other enemy of the United States or anywhere else gets their hands on it than they are revealing or telling everybody. They've known for decades extraterrestrials exist. They know for years it has. But they've kept a lid on it because it does not serve their agenda, or the worldwide global agenda for that matter, in a positive way. Because it will happen in a spiral out of control, and then they are afraid they're going to lose control over all of society. It's better for them to keep it quiet, shoot these things down when they come to the atmosphere, and hopefully they can recover it before some other country does. And from what I understand, that's where the big problem has come in for the military, is that they have trouble identifying sometimes what's ours from our back engineered stuff, what is Russia's or China's, whoever country, from back engineered stuff. And then the third factor of actual unidentified stuff that may not be any military stuff, but in fact from somewhere else. And there's a major problem that's really escalated over the last 10 years or so for militaries, not just in the United States, but throughout the world, to be able to know what they're dealing with when they identify one of these things. So that's why there's been, for a long time, before the technology got better, they were just able to fly off, stay off radars and stuff and not be picked up. But when all this new technology came out, infrared and different stuff that uses different frequency bands to be able to see and create a picture of, that's when a lot more stuff started popping up. Because the military technology has gotten better now. They can override stealth stuff now. Even the stealth has technologies, projectors and stuff on it, which I've seen used in chemtrails, where they can project a plane onto a cloud and make the enemy think that the plane is flying on the cloud, but it's just it's a holographic projection, and then the plane flies in behind where the enemy plane is and destroys it. I mean, they had stuff like that forever. So that's the big problem that they're having is they're having trouble discerning between, what's our own back engineered military secret stuff. I mean, there's been plenty of planes that have been back engineered from extraterrestrial technology that people thought one day was going to be talked about and come out, and it never has. The Aurora spy plane comes to mind. That was one. That thing left a fucking solid contrail all the way across that didn't dissipate, traveling, speeds beyond anything we can imagine all the way across the continent of the United States. Was caught on radar and caught up multiple times. Everybody thought one day we'd hear about it and it would be rolled out. It's been 20-something years since we started hearing about the Aurora spy plane. It's never been admitted to. It's never been rolled out. There's lots of stuff like that. So that's what I think. I think that DeLong's trying to sell this to the public and get people to put money into it under the guise of we're trying to find little green men. In reality, what he's doing is he's getting funding and money to basically give the military the parts and the pieces and the technology of this stuff that other countries back engineered and created that the United States hasn't got its hands on yet, so they can either create stuff to combat it or create stuff that's like it. I started hearing about this, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. And I told people, I said, you're going to start to see in the future, you're going to see stuff at concerts like mass shootings and terrorist attacks and stuff. And they're going to do it to start, being able to install the surveillance state and stuff in there. And that indeed happened. But boy, this is, again, talking about wanting to stay on the positive. This is a great story. And just goes to show you that if people speak up about stuff, it can make a difference. How artists and fans stopped facial recognition from invading music festivals. Imagine showing up at a music festival or a concert being required to stand in front of a device that scans and analyzes your face. I wouldn't go. I would throw my middle finger up and say, fuck you. I'd never go to a concert again. Once your facial features are mapped and stored in a database, a computer algorithm could then decide that you are drunk and should be denied entry, or that you should look suspicious and be flagged for additional screening. What if I'm higher than a fucking giraffe's pussy and I pull my fucking nuts out and say, screen this, bitch? What about that? If you make it through security, facial recognition technology could then be used to track the minute details of your movements once inside. Face scanning software could be used to police behavior, constantly scanning the crowd for drug use or rule breaking, or for strictly commercial purposes like showing you targeted ads monitoring which artists you came to see, or tracking how many times you go to the bar or the bathroom. Festival organizers could be forced to hand this trove of sensitive biometric data over to law enforcement or immigration authorities, and armed officers could pull people out of the crowd because they have an outstanding warrant or a deportation order. If you're a person of color or your gender presentation doesn't conform to the computer stereotypes, you'd be more likely to be falsely flagged by the system. This surveillance nightmare almost became a reality at U.S. music events. Industry giants like Ticketmaster invested money in companies like Blink Identity, a startup run by ex-defense contractors who helped build the U.S. military's facial recognition system in Afghanistan. These vendors and the venture capitalists who backed them saw the live music industry as a huge potential market for biometric surveillance tech, marketed as convenient ticketing option to concert goers. But now it seems they'll be sorely disappointed, and there's a lesson in the story of how we dash their dystopian profit dreams, a future where we are constantly subjected to corporate and government surveillance that is not inevitable, but it's coming fast unless we act now. Over the last month, artists and fans waged a grassroots war to stop Orwellian surveillance technology from invading live music events. Today, we declare victory. Our campaign pushed more than 40 of the world's largest music festivals like Coachella, Bonnaroo, and South by Southwest to go on the record and state clearly that they have no plans to use facial recognition technology at their events. Facing backlash, Ticketmaster all but threw Blink Identity under the bus, distancing itself from the surveillance startup it boasted about partnering with just a year ago. This victory is the first major blow to the spread of commercial facial recognition in the United States, and its significance cannot be overstated. In a few short weeks, using basic grassroots activism tactics like online petitions, social media pressure, and an economic boycott targeting festival sponsors, artists, and fans, killed the idea of facial recognition at U.S. music festivals. Now we need to do the same for sporting events, transportation, public housing, schools, law enforcement agencies, and all public places. And there's no time to lose. Amen to that. And you know who actually had a hand in and listen, before I say this name, I already know he's a commie. I already know he's probably CIA. But the guy who co-authored this article was Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. I know. He went to Harvard. You ever notice that Tom Morello and Barack Obama both went to Harvard? Have you ever noticed that they sound almost exactly the same way when they talk? They do. I mean, Morello's a commie. All fucking Rage Against the Machine. They were all fucking commies. But you know what's interesting is that the reason why their lead singer, I never liked Rage Against the Machine. I saw them a couple times in the 90s, but I was never a fan. They just weren't my thing. Never got it really, but I like Tom Morello. I do. I think the guy's CIA. He talks just like Barack Obama. Him and Barack Obama sound exactly the same. They kind of both sound like Dave Chappelle impersonating a white man. Good golly gracious goodness. I don't know what I'm going to do here. Wow. This is just incredible. Also kind of sound like when Dave Chappelle did an impersonation of Tiger Woods. Kind of sound the same too. For shizzle. Always want to say that. But yeah, I mean, this is great to hear. Great to hear, somebody like him stepping up for it. What's this say? Hold on. Let's see. I want to see here. What he says. Facial recognition is spreading like an epidemic. It's being deployed by police departments, blah, blah, blah. I want to see if he's going to tell us if the Democrats are going to save us from this or not. Because you notice how it started out pretty good. I mean, I don't think anybody could disagree with any of what we started out with, but let's see. It's got to be in here somewhere, don't you think? Don't you think there's got to be something in here where he tells us that don't worry because Democrats are going to save us from this. Let me see. Opposition to facial recognition is spreading almost as quickly as the tech itself. More than 30 organizations ranging from the Council on American Islamic Relations to Greenpeace. Oh, those are those are institutions I'd trust. Have endorsed Fight for the Future's banfacialrecognition.com campaign, pushing lawmakers to the local, state, and federal level to halt face surveillance. 4 cities have already banned government use of biometric spy tech. California banned its use in police body cameras. States like Michigan, Massachusetts, and New York are considering legislation. Sweden recently banned facial recognition in schools after getting slapped with a fine under the GDPR data privacy regime, leading 2020 candidates like Bernie Sanders and Beto O'Rourke to echo grassroots calls for a ban. And there's rare bipartisan agreement in Congress where lawmakers are as diametrically opposed as AOC and Jim Jordan agree that facial recognition poses a unique threat to privacy and civil liberties. So I was a little off. Okay, but did you see what he did there? You see what he did there, though? I wasn't wrong. I was a little off, but I knew it had to be in there somewhere. And I was pretty much right. He didn't say the Democrats are going to save us from this. He just threw in, well, Bernie Sanders and Beto O'Rourke have agreed that we need to ban this technology. And even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has, and Jim Jordan have said that it's a problem. Right. And of course, all that translates to is that the companies that are probably primarily involved in bringing this technology out are probably more than likely companies that are more right-wing leaning. So what you can translate this to is that they're against it because the people that are controlling this technology and controlling these companies aren't on their team. But if we were to get some companies in there to create this that we could, we're left wing, well, then we wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm telling you, man. It used to be like when nobody used to talk about important issues, and every once in a while you'd hear a musician or you hear like an actor or somebody that actually would bring up a legitimate issue for once. You'd go, oh, wow. Oh, that's refreshing. It's not that way anymore. Now I don't want to hear these motherfuckers. I don't want to hear these musicians talk about, either left or right. I don't care. Just fucking let's get some music going. Music is supposed to be an escape from all that shit. I heard Jack White's playing fucking Bernie Sanders thing, and Bernie ain't got a chance in hell anyway. And some of his ideas make sense, but there's no way to fucking implement any of them. No effective way to implement any of the stuff that he talks about. And in the end, it all goes back to socialism. And then that brings me right back to where I began in the beginning days of this fucking show, and the beginning days of making the fucking Secret Right films. When nobody wanted to listen to me, they still don't. And I was right then, and I was right now. When I told you that that's what the goal of all these motherfuckers is. That's why when you trace back the right-wingers, they trace back to socialism, and they trace back to, that was a big thing. That was the moment when I knew, I'd already known in my heart and in my soul my whole life since I was 16 years old, there's no difference between the left and the right, and they're all phony, they're all controlled by the same corporate interests and everything else. I knew that. But when I was making The Secret Right Volume 1, and I started tracing back these groups, trace back where the Council on Foreign Relations, who controls them? Where does their money flow to? Who controls the Council for National Policy? And finding out and tracing it in and finding out all these things, they all go back to England. They all go back specifically to stuff like the Milner's Roundtable and the Rhodes Roundtable, which were specifically socialist in nature. They go back to the Fabian Society, which people on the left and the right are all involved with. The Fabian Society's logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing, for God's sakes. It's true. Look it up. and finding out that, wait a minute, all of these groups, they all go back to people who are connected to the World International Finance, the biggest, largest, wealthiest people on earth. And they create all these phony groups, these control groups, like the Council on Foreign Relations on the left and the Council for National Policy on the right. And meanwhile, all of their agendas are socialist in nature. So these Republicans, that's why you get all these asshat Republican candidates and people that you're like, why the fuck would they ever? Because that's why they allow those guys to be in office for a period of time. That's why they allowed Bush to be in office for the time period it was. That's why they allowed Reagan to be in office. That's why they allowed Trump to be in office. Because in the end, their goal is to drag everybody kicking and screaming back to socialism. I told you this first in 2008. 11 years I've been telling you this. And now that's exactly where we're at. And I told you back then that these CMP people were going to use the truth community and use people like Alex Jones and others to create a new civil war. They're talking about that now. I've been 100% right about everything I told you from day one about the secret right, the CMP, and how it all goes back to socialism. And that's what Trump has done. They've used him to make everybody so traumatized and deranged that in the end, the only thing that people see as a solution to him is to go running straight with open arms to socialism. And that's exactly where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And they have both been gaming us as the general public and to get us to do exactly that all this time. And if you still don't see it, motherfucker, you're the problem. Hey, Jones's boy's even saying it. Soros, he's even saying it. Oh, the tide's turning back to globalists. This is great. And I'm literally. Because it's driven people kicking and screaming back into that model. That's what it's been designed to do. George Soros is a billionaire philanthropist, a former currency trader, a liberal champion, and in certain circles a boogeyman. That's the last label. That last label seems to be a badge of honor. The tide is turning back towards globalism. I mean, Soros is sitting there the whole just laughing. You know, it's all this crap and all this stuff with Trump. It's all benefited him. Jones having his fucking name in his mouth like a fucking fat dick all these years. I'm serious. He fucking sucks on Soros' name like a fat dick, doesn't he? Russia will test its ability to disconnect from the internet. There you go. Guy says he can enter wormholes and literally make it rain, which, Australia has been suffering through a serious drought since 2017. The entire country has been hit by the lack of rainfall, including the southeastern state of Victoria, Australia's largest agricultural producer with around 77,000 people working in the field. Recently, the state's government has offered $31 million for drought-affected farmers. It won't make it rain. No drought package can do that, State Premier Daniel Andrews said at the time, but that's exactly what a company called Miles Research is promising. The company offers 3-month rain contracts to farmers for $50,000 or around $33,800. It's preying on people's desperation. No, they can look. Listen, you can seed clouds. Fuck, y'all want some rain? Get you some rain. I get you some rain by 3:00 this afternoon with nail polish. You know what I'm saying? You want a toe? I'll get you a toe. I'll get you a toe by 3:00 this afternoon with nail polish. If you want some rain, I'll get you some rain. Fuck, you give me that money. We'll fucking hire some planes and come over there with some silver iodine, drop that shit in your clouds. You motherfuckers will be raining in no time. The reason they're having a drought is because of the weather modification that's been going on everywhere else and changing the fucking jet stream and all that stuff. That's, same reason why now here in Texas, here in Dallas, where I live, where we used to get seasons. You could count on, getting some snow and some ice and, having kind of a regular. Now we don't get that anymore. Now we just get cold ass monsoon season for 5 months. That's what we get here. From October till like March, it's like Seattle, and it's, it doesn't really get down to freezing that much, maybe a few times. But now it'll be in the 40s and 50s from like October to like March, and just fucking rain nonstop. I'm talking about nonstop flooding 24 hours a day. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the fucking rain. I'm tired of it. Y'all want some rain? Come down here to fucking Texas, have some of our rain. I'm sick of it. I just want some fucking real seasons again. Shit you can count on. Now we get fucking tornadoes in October and fucking flooding ass monsoon season for 5 or 6 months. I'm over it, dude. I want to live somewhere else. I want to live in fucking Nevada or something. Fuck. At least you can count on what the weather's going to be like there. Anyway, I don't see anything in this article about this guy opening wormholes. So what kind of technology is Miles peddling? It isn't exactly clear. The company doesn't actually mention on its website what it's doing to create more rain in Victoria. It just claims it's responsible for increased rainfall in a region of the state called Wimmera in July and August 2018. The Australian government notes high rainfall in part of Wimmera in August at that time, but calls the July rainfall average. Miles' research also claims it would increase rainfall in the state of New South Wales, although no further information is available on that claim. While we don't have many tech specs, we do have the origin story. It was in the late 1990s that Miles realized it was possible to incrementally influence weather patterns using a variant of the Einstein-Rosen bridge hypothesized in the 1930s to effectively create a bridge between the present and the physical space-time continuum and a near-future event forecast to exist from 1 to 10 days ahead in time. The necessary targeting profile for the predicted event is created using meteorological forecast data and high-resolution supercomputing. You're probably wondering, what? Einstein-Rosen bridges, still hypothetical in science, are also commonly known as wormholes. Miles claims he has gained the ability to somehow configure a wormhole, enter it, and then alter the weather in the future. Yeah. This sounds like some horseshit to me. Sounds like these motherfuckers are seeding clouds and telling motherfuckers they're fucking with wormholes, what it sounds like to me, and charging out outlandish numbers for it. Theoretical scientists have speculated about warping space-time one way or another, but many believe it would take approximately all energy within the known universe to do so. Miles' research then goes on to claim credit for secretly ending a variety of droughts in Australia from the 1990s onward. The company, this is interesting. The company also referenced something called electromagnetic scalar waves on its website, but took down the language after ABC Radio contacted University of Melbourne professor of physics Martin Sever, who told them, quote, electromagnetic scalar waves don't exist. There's no such thing. He's taken a few words, put them together, and made them sound somewhat scientific, but it's meaningless. Bullshit! That's the most true thing I've heard yet. Electromagnetic scalar waves is exactly what HARP arrays do. Or those type of arrays, like I talked about last night. Yes, electromagnetic scalar wave technology. Dude, you can go, listen, this guy's a moron. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's never read the actual Arco Oil documentation on the HARP array. I have. And that's right. That thing was originally created by an oil and gas company. It was created by Arco Oil. That's who originally created HARP. That's exactly what it does. And that's what it works in combination with chemtrails. So I was exactly right. That's what's going on here. These motherfuckers are using the same technology they're using in chemtrails. But they don't want to tell anybody out that, so they're making up horse shit about Einstein-Rosen bridges and manipulating wormholes. But that's the real truth. Then they get this guy who's a professor saying, electromagnetic scalar waves don't exist. There's no such thing. Bullshit. Bullshit. I've seen patent documents with U.S. government patent numbers on them that deal with that, ladies and gentlemen, pertaining to the HARP array antenna. Absolutely, electromagnetic scalar waves exist. That's what they do. That's why they use barium. It's one of the reasons why they use barium in the mixture when they lay down those chemtrails. Because barium is a radioactive isotope. When you hit the radioactive isotope with an electromagnetic scalar wave, you ever seen those clouds? You see them come over and spray the chemtrails, and then they make those clouds later on that kind of look like waves. That's a scalar wave cloud, scalar cloud. I've taken hundreds of pictures of scalar clouds. You can see them almost every day someplace on Earth. Absolutely that has to do with weather modification. Absolutely that has to do with that. That's what's going on here. These motherfuckers, oh, wow, this is slick. This is some shit. I thought we'd seen all the slickness we were going to see with fucking the long stuff. This is slick. That's genius. I got to hand it to these guys. That's genius. They're using the exact technology that they will tell us doesn't exist, and will tell us that absolutely you're a crazy conspiracy theorist if you talk about it. And then your buddy, fucking, what's his nuts, that went on Rogan, Ed Snowden, he'll tell you, oh, yeah, don't worry, I looked in the NSA-CI computer, there's nothing in there about chemtrails, so obviously that's not real. Yeah, thanks, Ed. We were really waiting for your opinion on chemtrails. That's what everybody was waiting with bated breath to hear you talk about. They offer up information like that. When they offer answers to questions you didn't ask for, that's when you know there's some shit going down. Damn, dude, that's exactly what's going on here. They're using the same fucking technology for modifying the weather that they use with chemtrails and with HARP, and then they're claiming that, we're manipulating Einstein-Rosen bridges and space-time continuum to make it rain. Horse shit. Miles says he has a small private group of farmer clients. One anonymous client spoke to ABC Radio favorably, saying, I got involved because it sounded good. The fact you can control weather, because as a farmer, rainfall is everything. The anonymous client makes no mention of any actual rain benefits they have received. There have been many efforts to try and artificially create rainfall over the years, mostly through something called cloud seeding, though both the South Korean and Chinese governments have tried the technique of seeding clouds with certain chemicals in order to create rain for years. There's little proof that it actually worked. Oh my God, what horse shit. Again, hoping that you're an idiot and a moron. Little proof that it's actually worked. China has been effectively cloud seeding and creating rain for decades. Go look, they did it at a fall concert, Paul McCartney concert 20 years ago in Russia. Paul McCartney was coming to play in Russia and it was going to rain, and they reported it in the fucking news that they used cloud weather modification technology to go in and make sure it didn't rain when Paul McCartney was there to play. And the name of the article was Paul McCartney controls the weather, or does Paul McCartney control the weather, I think is what the actual name of the article was. Little proof it's actually worked. Bullshit. There's decades of documentation that cloud seeding works. They did it in Vietnam. They flooded the Ho Chi Minh Trail, like spraying silver iodine into the fucking clouds. Wow. You just never know, man. That's one of the things that makes doing what I do interesting. You just never know day to day what the fuck's going to come out. But they showed their whole fucking hand. I saw all their cards as soon as they started talking that smack about electromagnetic scalar waves, and then brought on some fucking University of Melbourne. Oh, scalar waves don't exist. There's no such thing. Bullshit. That's exactly what the technology does to modify the weather. But of course they're going to tell you that, just like they told you a month or so ago. Oh, Bill Gates created all this new technology to be able to spray clouds and to save us from global warming. And you watch the video, and it's exactly what they've already been doing for decades. Yet they'll tell you you're a crazy conspiracy theorist if you say it's going on, has been going on for decades. But you're a sane, rational person if you believe that Bill Gates invented this technology and they haven't used it yet. What in the flying fuck, man? Fuck these people. Fuck them right in their dirty shitholes. I'm tired of them. All right. I got to calm down. I get back to work on the film. Hey, again, like I told you at the beginning of the show, I need everybody's help. We need everybody throwing in everything so I can stay on target and get this fucking movie done, get it done out finally. And I'm just ready to fucking get on to the next thing and continue to kick these motherfuckers right in the teeth. And that's what I was put here to do. I love you guys. I love each and every one of you. None of this is possible without you. So those of you that haven't fucking given up and are still on my team and on my side, I need you to stand up and show me right now, all right? It's never been more important than it is now. We'll see you next time. Take care. Folks, this is Josh Reeves, and I'm here to tell you about a fantastic website, fixyourgut.com. Fixyourgut.com can help you take control of your overall health. Are you sick and tired of suffering from indigestion, acid reflux, bloating, or abdominal pain? Do you run to the bathroom either all the time or hardly ever at all? Do you forget things often or have trouble concentrating? Are you depressed or anxious? Do you have IBD or SIBO? Digestive disorders are increasing in frequency because of our toxic-laden, fast-paced world. There are billions of microorganisms that live in your intestinal tract that have more to say about your health than almost anything else. Learn how to make sure your gut has more of the right organisms to improve your health and enhance your life. FixYourGut.com has over 200 free blog articles, and it's one of the most valuable resources on the planet to improve your overall health and well-being. Search either Fix Your Gut or We've Read the Documents on YouTube for the latest health and conspiracy information as well. You can also purchase John Brisson's book, Fix Your Gut, or get personal one-on-one health coaching to help get you back to living your life happy and healthy. Visit FixYourGut.com, the ultimate source for all things digestive health.